at the beginning of every relationship with a client, I let them know my goal. I say my dirty ulterior motive is I want a good review at the end. And I know that all that is the byproduct of an excellent relationship.
From Reminder Media, this is Stay Paid, a sales and marketing podcast on a mission to help you close more deals and retain more business. Hosted by the VP of Marketing, Josh Steik, and Reminder Media's president, Luke Acree. So get ready to hear the golden nuggets that will allow you to live a life of freedom tomorrow, but only if you take action today.
And welcome to Stay Paid. Look.
Dude, I will tell you this, man, because we're still obviously quarantined. I'm not sure, if hopefully when people are listening to this, we're out of the quarantine and the world is open back up. The virtual is really blowing my mind. It's
in terms of what? In terms of how seamless it is, or
so everybody who's been following along with our journey. So at Reminder Media here, Josh and I have 220 employees, and most of the employees did not work from home.
Right.
Pretty much none.
Well, nobody worked from home, worked remote full time. We have two departments that were working remotely 2 days a month, I think.
Yes. So we had some of it going on, but not much. But literally overnight, we had to flip the switch and literally get 98% of our.
The hardest part was finding headsets.
Yeah, headsets were unbelievable.
Going to Walmart and buying all the headsets we could find.
This is a lesson on economics, people, supply and demand. The camera that I'm using right now, I think I got for like $40. Okay, which is
webcam.
Now this same camera is going for $129 on like eBay and stuff. And like our vendor to do cameras for all of our employees at home, they have a back order of 12,000 cameras. Just the crazy demand. But I've been blown away, man, at like our sales team being able to sell from home. Our communication. It's a testament to, I think, our people and the culture of the people. And I shared this with our company at one of our all staff meetings over Zoom, that Simon Sinek talks about, you never judge a crew on a ship in calm waters. Right. You judge a crew on a ship when they get into rough waters. That's where the real value you see in the people. And you only have a valuable crew in rough waters if the culture in the behaviors and discipline has been instilled before you get there. And it's just a testament to our crew, because I've been blown away. We almost had a record sales day.
I think the third most sales in one day.
Yeah, we were like 3 off from breaking the record during this whole pandemic and on our inside sales team. It was unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. So anyways, that's what's going on in my brain, if anybody's wondering.
No, I love it. Hey, man, who we have on the podcast today, I know has been keeping at it during this time as well. His name is Will Penney. He is the president of Penney Real Estate Company. He's been a licensed realtor since 1988, so he's seen it all. Up to this point, you've seen 2020 now. You've seen it all at this point. During his career, he's sold over $250 million worth of local real estate and is among the top 5% of realtors to be a certified residential specialist, as well as being the highest rated realtor in Northeast Ohio on Zillow. And the stat that we love to see the most, he attributes over 90% of his business to referral marketing through past clients. Will, welcome to Stay Paid.
Thanks a lot for having me, guys.
Yeah,
I listen to this podcast every week, and I'm really, really stoked to be on here.
Dude, you're making me blush, Will. You're making me blush. Well, we got a listener. That's awesome.
We need a little bit of color, Luke. You haven't been outside.
I always want to look tan. That's what I always tell the video people is make me look more tan, please, because I've always been so, I don't tan well. Let's just leave it there. But Will, man, super excited to have you on.
If you want me to blush, sing some more Train.
If anybody's missing the reference, I was did a sing along with my wife. My wife and I's date.
Oh my God!
It's turned into us doing sing alongs because I loved music. Everybody who knows my history knows that, man. I was one of those kids, homeschooled, grew up playing music 4 hours a day. So I love music, but you have to check that out on my Instagram at Luke Acree.
I was welling up.
Well, let's talk about you, Will, man. You are killing it in the real estate game. And I'd love for you to introduce yourself to the audience, just share kind of how you got into real estate, how your career has gone, where you're at today.
All right, cool. So I became a realtor in April of 1988. Graduated from high school in 87. I'm 51 now. And I started at Kent State University, which is, everyone's heard of Kent State. It's a big school. So I was actually working at an auto parts store, and this guy came in to get spark plugs. And he started chatting with me about real estate, and he knew a guy who knew a guy who owned a Century 21 office over in Akron. And he said I could be their Portage County man. And I was like, great, I'm in. So I went over there and I ended up taking my classes, and I got my license there. They called me Flash in the Pan Penney. That was my nickname, because they thought that I set my goals too high. We actually had a guy in that office in 1986. His name was Hank Thalrose. He sold 384 homes without an assistant.
Oh my gosh, man. That is.
He was number 2 in sales volume for Century 21 in the entire system for units. And his every house he sold was 39.9 back then. So anyway, I walked around with him for a while, and I carried his briefcase and drove his Cadillac. And that's how I got my foot in the door. And I ended up selling 17 houses my first year.
Wow, man.
I mean, it wasn't great, believe me, but I think I owed the IRS $6,000, got in a payment plan. So that taught me very early to save money for taxes. But then I made a Century 21 Centurion Award, which back then anyway was 60 units. I did that at 24. And then my wife and I started Penney Real Estate. She was a trainer. She's the broker. So she's the broker. I'm not. And she was a trainer with Century 21 at the time. And we left and started Penney Real Estate in February of 01. Never looked back. Worked by myself. I recruited an agent from Remax at the time. Coldwell Banker. She came over and she was my showing agent. I just paid her like 10% of everything I did, just to be, just show houses and help me with listings and stuff like that. She lasted a year, bounced around through a few people, had a buddy of mine work with me for a long time. Then in 2013, I hired my first key player. Her name's Tina, and she's my listing manager. And she also sells houses. So my team's made up of 3. I've got a licensed showing agent, and I've got a licensed listing manager. They're both salaried, but then they also sell houses. So Tina and Rebecca, they both sold between 20 and 30 homes each last year.
Wow.
And she's my showing agent as well, and my closing coordinator. And when I list a house, Tina goes out and measures and coordinates photos. So I've got a little bit different setup. They have double roles. So they act as, they've got their job in the office, but then they sell houses as well.
That's incredible.
And they both do really well at it.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Last year we sold 251 houses, just about 47 million in sales volume. That translated to 1.7 million in revenue.
Man, seriously, congrats, dude. That is amazing.
Yeah. So thank you. 2018, I've got a buddy of mine, Mark, a very close friend of mine, and he worked for a medium-sized independent broker. He got licensed in 2007, so right before the crash. And he and 2 people were doing about 100 to 120 transactions a year. And I've been bugging him for years. Well, the end of 2018, he broke loose from his uncle's brokerage and came over and started an office for me. So now we have 2 offices. He works out of one, I'm in the other. So our company is 2 teams, my team and Mark's team. And that's pretty much how it works. Is
Mark's team structured the same way, or does he do a different structure on his team?
Pretty similar. He's got his mom's a showing agent for him. He pays her by the hour, and then he jumps back in when they find a house and writes the offer. And then he's got 2 team members that do their own thing. They're great. We've got there's only 6 heartbeats, but really, really solid people.
Yeah, that's incredible just from the numbers you're doing. So I'm curious, right? So, there's so many questions going through my mind of, structures of teams and why'd you choose that structure, why you pay people salary, all that stuff. And maybe we can get into that. But the number one question we hear from people is, how do you generate leads? And it's not just about generating leads. It's more about the consistency and what are the systems that are working for you that you really have tested and have spent time and hey, if I work this system, it's going to generate me X amount of leads. Can you walk us through kind of your marketing and what you do?
Yeah. So here's the boring part. 1994, was it 94? Yeah, 94. I went to a Joe Stumpf main event in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Yeah, we know him.
He's been around forever. And so check this out. I went to this main event and he was talking about buy referral only. So I left that thing and I thought, this is it. So from that point on, I was in 6 years. I started keeping in touch with my past clients 15, 20 times a year. So when you talk about leads, one thing I do that maybe some agents either don't or don't find important is that I have a database. Right now during this pandemic, I'm keeping in contact with my database twice a week.
Is that email, text message, phone call, a mixture?
No, what I did, well, yes, BombBomb.
Yep.
So I've been doing a market update, real estate market update once a week, talking about the number of transactions. We had in Ohio, we got a little bit better than Pennsylvania because we're allowed to work. We can still show homes.
Right.
All right. We have a very restrictive stay-at-home order, but our essential, however the governor thought of it, he didn't stop us from showing houses. So as long as we're taking precautions and honoring, abiding by social distancing rules, I mean, everything's shut down here. Restaurants, everything's shut down still. And he just extended the stay-at-home order until the end of May. But realtors are allowed to work. So in May, we sold 30 houses. In April, we sold 27.
Okay.
So we hear so much bad news. I decided about middle to end of March to start doing a weekly update. So I do our two counties, Portage and Summit County. I'm near Akron, between Akron and Cleveland, like right in the northeast part of the state. I started doing an update for two counties, and like 2 weeks ago, from the 21st to the 28th of April, there were 219 pending sales in Summit and Portage County. Same period of time last year, 143.
Wow.
219 in 1 week. Median days on market for those sales was 15 days. So wow. I was showed a $300,000 house in Cleveland today. It came on the market yesterday. It was $299. Met a buyer there that was referred by my brother. We left the house, texted the agent. She's already got 2 overlist price offers. I didn't even have a chance to get an offer in.
So you're updating people through video with those type of stats every week?
I put it on Instagram.
Okay.
I don't have a bunch of followers on Instagram. I got 300 and some. But then it goes to Facebook where we've got almost 1,700. But then I boost that in a 15-mile radius. Every week I spend $50 and boost it. And I get about 3,000 to 4,000. I get about 3,000 to 4,000 views, 700 to 1,000 playthroughs or through plays. So that's what, at least 10 to 15 seconds that they watch.
Yep, that's beautiful, man. That's awesome. So $50 a week, a market update, key points, how many home sales, days on market.
Just to combat, and I'm very sensitive when I do these updates because I don't want people to just think that I'm some capitalist pig, right? So I want to make sure that we're acknowledging the fact that lots of people have been hurt by this pandemic. Lots of people are out of work. But then I go and say, Northeast Ohio, 60% of the workers are in healthcare, government work, or education. We don't have a terribly blue collar market in the housing market.
Sure.
So we haven't had one transaction fall through because someone got furloughed or laid off. Not one.
That's amazing, man.
And I was listening to a podcast the other day. This agent lost 17 deals last month in Mississippi. 17 of his 30 pending sales fell apart because of layoffs. We've had 0 fall apart yet. So I'm just trying to promote that information to the public as much as I possibly can so they don't think it's all doom and gloom. Because one thing we're having trouble with is getting listings right now because people don't want to have people through their house when they're home with their kids. Right. So I'm putting these videos out there every Tuesday. And then Friday, I'm doing some kind of an update. Today I did a video in front of that house with the girl, my client with her mask on, just asking her why she chose us, why she's choosing to look for a house now. Was she comfortable with the precautions that we're taking looking at a house, and had her answer those questions. So and then I'll take that video and I'll send it out to my database of 3,000 people on BombBomb. So I'll do Instagram, Facebook, boost on Facebook, BombBomb.
Love it.
So we get, and I'm a freak about, I've heard you guys talk about it, and other podcasts I listen to. I go to the MLS. This is a good thing for agents in general. I go into the MLS, I pull up a year worth of sales, and I start at the beginning, and I click on the realist or tax number, see who it is, pull it up on my phone, send them a text that says, "Hey, Luke, just thinking about you. Hope you guys are hanging in there during this crazy time. Keep in touch, Will." And I send that out, and I'll do 100 of them in a day. Last week I wiped out from 2010, because before then I don't have phone numbers.
Okay.
Because it was a different world before 2010, texting, and I didn't have a smartphone, so I didn't keep their numbers before then.
Sure.
2010 to 2000 now, I texted everybody that text.
That is incredible.
So it doesn't take, it's free, and it takes no time at all. I can knock out an entire year and a half a day. And I'm selling 100 plus, like personally, I'm doing 95 to 110 transactions myself. So,
and do you use any mass text
No.
texting platforms? You can use, just so everybody who's listening, there are, because my brother does this, is use and it's still personal, right? It's a personal text to them, but he basically can mass text all of his database, a personal text, and it comes.
You can do that through Lion Desk.
Can you? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Follow Up Boss. I use Follow Up Boss. That's my CRM. You can't do it through there. But the reason I do it individually, even though it's old school, is because it comes from a different phone number. You can't have mass texting that I'm aware of through your own phone.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, that's
right?
a great point.
Lion Desk, I purchased a local phone number, but see, then they'll get the text through that. And then when they text me back, I text them, it'll be through my cell phone. And I don't want it to look, sketchy.
I love that, man. That's how deep, you know what I want to point out to the audience? That's how deep you're thinking about the client experience and what they feel. And that's the level you have to think about it. You seriously do. You have to think about it to a level that if it confuses the potential client at all, you're hindering yourself. You're not making it easy for people to get a hold of you, and you're confusing them. So I love that.
Well, and you run the risk in that particular case where you're trying to show compassion and that you're thinking about them just to see if they need anything, and you're not mentioning real estate at all. If it comes from one phone number, the last thing I want is for them to think that was a mass text.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? On a, "Hey, Luke, I'm thinking about you, man. I just want to make sure you're doing okay, or your kid's okay."
I love that, brother.
I don't want to risk that goes sideways.
Yeah, so spot on. So spot on. How much of your business, so 251 deals last year, I mean, are you tracking, like, how much of your business is coming from referrals?
So as a whole, probably 70%.
Okay.
Now, I've got 2 Zillow zip codes. I spend almost $4,000 a month on Zillow.
Okay.
Now I include referrals as when I first talked to you about being on your show, we have more reviews than anybody in the entire state. I've got 522 on Zillow. And at the risk of sounding arrogant, you don't have anybody that has 500 reviews on Zillow.
That's impressive, man.
I got 61 on Google. I've got a bunch on Angie's List. I've got 25 on Facebook. I mean, we've got like 700 reviews out there. So I'm getting more and more business from that. The younger crowd and older crowd. I just listed a house for an 89-year-old lady named Lorna who found me on Google. Right. So, and the younger people, I got a buyer yesterday, found me on Google. I pay HomeSnap so that it posts to Google every 3 days a week. It's $500 a year.
When you say post to Google, explain to people, I guess, what you mean by that.
Every time I list a house, it'll post a link on Google.
Okay.
And then it'll put like other like memes and stuff. And then what I do is I post on there periodically. So organically, I'm showing up on a local real estate search.
Love that.
And it's free.
So are you
How do you
tracking,
get-
like you're counting the review deals that you get from the reviews? You're
Social
saying those
proof.
are-
Yeah, anything social proof because honestly, if someone calls me and says, hey, I'm calling you because Josh said he sold his house with you and you're great and I shouldn't call anyone else, that's obviously the best kind of call you can get. The second best call you can get is from someone who values reviews. If someone's looking online for reviews, then reviews mean something to them. And that social proof is every bit as good as, hey, Josh told me to call you. When those people call me from Google, in their mind, having 60 recommendations is better than Josh. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. You're also zeroing in on the people that you want to work with. Like, it's obvious that the people that value that are fits your niche or fits the people that you want to work with, because that's your model. You want to go towards this referral
Correct.
sort of model. So they're naturally going to be, they're going to connect with you. You're going to
They care about service. They care about communication. They care about all that stuff. And guess what? They're not beating me up on the commission.
How did you get the reviews, Will? Like how like what tips do you have for collecting reviews?
So what I did, 2009, I joined Zillow and started paying them a few bucks, but I'm pretty competitive. And my rep, Elizabeth, said, now, in order for you to have your money worthwhile, you got to get reviews. So I looked in my marketplace on the agent finder. They've got to mess that up. I'm not a fan of Zillow anymore. I'm just there because I have to be, and because I have the reviews. So I get a lot of organic business that other agents don't even dream of getting. I get people reach out to me. On Sunday, I got a call from a guy on my phone because he saw my reviews on Zillow, and he wants me to help him buy a house. Usually, unlike the market right now, but usually I'm getting calls this time of year, 3-4 listings a month just from people finding me online on reviews.
That's amazing, man.
Right. So, but it's not happening now because of what we're going through. But what was I getting at? Oh yeah, 2009. So I looked and saw who had the most reviews, and this guy had 60 or 58 reviews. So I called him up and I said, how did you get all those reviews? And he says, well, I just asked my clients. I'm like, okay, fair enough. So what I did is I started going back I was already doing a really good job of keeping in touch with my people. So it's not like I haven't talked to Luke or texted Luke or emailed Luke in forever. And then suddenly I'm saying, hey man, can you give me a review? And you're like going, what the hell is this guy all about? Right. I mean, I was able to go out to my past clients in my sphere and ask for reviews because I already had an ongoing relationship with them because I was following up, doing my newsletter and, all the other stuff that I do. So I was able to get up to 100 reviews, I think, my first year. But little did I know that I was ahead of the curve, because now it's very hard unless someone's selling 300-400 homes a year and doubling down on the service and communication so their clients actually don't give them a bad review. They just can't catch up with me now. So if I were a new agent, what I would be doing is I'd get a Google profile. I would pay HomeSnap $4.95 a year, so they'll optimize it for you. They'll post all your listings to it. I would start putting photos on there of yourself, like personal stuff, gardening, pictures with your clients, sold signs. And then I would start really digging deep to get reviews on Google. That's what I would do again. To answer the question that you were going to ask me at the end, what would I do? What I tell young Will, get a Google profile and knock it out of the park. Get as many reviews as you can, because if you go on there, agents they're not concentrating on Google, and Google's a home run.
I love that, man. That's so powerful. That's a golden nugget there. And it's true. I mean, it's so true. People are making their decisions based upon that, which is the social proof, based upon the trust. And that's why, buy referral only. Like, that's why that's so successful. That's why the foundation of the real estate business is relationships, because the foundation of a transaction is based on trust. And so that social proof is trust, man. It's showcasing
all it is.
Amount of, the trust that they can have in you and your service. All right. So let's man, that's incredible. So I'm going to, recap this a little bit. So you are communicating 15 to 20 times a year with your list, is what you said?
More than that, because we're doing There was a guy named Craig Fort, and he owned Service for Life. He's no longer, he sold it off. He sends you a Word doc once a month, and it's stuff you read on the toilet. It's nothing to do with real estate. And then it has a trivia question in it. It's black and white on ledger paper. It folds in half and then folded and mailed. I've been sending that out since 2003. And then you have a cover letter on it talking about your family, talking about your kids, talking about whatever. So I've been sending that out. But then I've been texting quarterly for years. I used to send out Christmas cards. I gave up on that. But I've been texting quarterly for years. When everyone else is hammered on New Year's Eve, and I'm not saying I'm not hammered on New Year's Eve. I'm just saying when they're just hammered
and productive.
I am productively hammered. I will go get my closest sphere, people that are real core advocates of mine, and I text them Happy New Year like at 12:04. I do that every year. Just think like I could have you could stick 6 Bud Whites or Bud Lights in me, and I'm still wishing people that I know a Happy New Year that have sent me business before.
Dude, ladies,
not expecting that from the realtor.
A golden nugget. That's a golden nugget right there. That's unbelievable. That's
free. It's none of this stuff costs any money. You just have to think about it and be deliberate about it. And now now we're doing Follow Up Boss. I just signed up for that. It's an amazing CRM. And so now it's reminding us to call our leads. And we never did that before. So that was the one loose end in my business. And now we've got that. So
no, that's the number one thing that I coach agents on is that if you want to be successful in this business, pick up the phone, call your sphere, call your clients, check in on them. I mean, it's being intentional. Being deliberate, I think that's a great word for it. It's just being intentional about reaching out. So you're reaching out over 20 times. You're doing these weekly updates now. You're boosting that. That's incredible. So walk us through, building out your team, right? Because a lot of agents, they get to a level of production and then they want to know, should I hire an assistant there? What made you structure your team this way with a listing manager and a showing agent? Why didn't you do just a assistant that does contract to close?
All right.
What was the thought process?
When I first started Penney Real Estate, I knew I needed someone because it was just my wife and I. She didn't sell houses. We had really young kids. We had a 2 and a 5-year-old, and I was working from home. So we opened up an office about 6 months in, just around the corner from where we lived at the time. And I brought this woman over. She's not listening to this podcast because that's why she's not with me anymore. She just didn't have a head for it. But she lasted a year. She made 52 grand off of the 10% or 15, 20% she was making off me. Got to the end of the year and asked for a pay raise. So I let her go the same day. That was it. That was her pay raise. So I just cut her loose because I figured if you're going to ask me for a pay raise, working part-time, I was her realtor.
Yeah.
She was the pimp and I was the hooker. She was getting a cut of everything I did, and all she had to do was, photograph houses and stuff. So I did that on and off. I had an assistant who was licensed. She came and answered the phones at our office so that we didn't have to do it. And then I got her licensed. And then I started paying her $20 an hour to show houses, W-2. Where a lot of realtors make mistakes is they try to cheap out on their people. And I knew early on that if I 1099'd her $20 an hour, she wouldn't pay her taxes, and then she would sink herself at the end of the first year. Right? Because if you just think about yourself, and you're only paying them $20 an hour to show houses, then they're not going to pay their taxes. So I flipped her to W-2, paid her $20 an hour. Her husband grumped about her having to be gone on the weekends because I wouldn't show houses at all. So I'd meet with the buyer, and then she would show them homes. And then once they found one, I would write the offer. Okay. So her husband got grumpy. So I bumped her up to $30 an hour, and then he shut up. Because then she was getting $30 an hour part-time. So she left, I think 2007. And then 2009 or 10, Rebecca, who's with me now, I knew her for a long time. she had her real estate license. She worked for an appraisal office, and she showed houses for me at night and on the weekends. So I would show houses during the day, and I would have appointments to meet new buyers on Tuesdays and Thursday nights. And then I didn't do anything on the weekends. So she would show houses at night and on the weekends for me. And I paid her, you know, that $25-30 an hour W-2. Well, then in 2000, so she was doing that. So that when you talk about assistants, the biggest time drain in my world is showing houses. So I figured I can process stuff. I can write escrow letters, but the showing of the homes if you're busy, is the biggest time drain ever. So I would just explain to my clients that, okay, so Rebecca's going to show you houses. Once you find one, we'd set them up on a group text. Once you find one, then I'll jump back in. I'll write the offer. I'll go to the home inspection if I haven't seen the house. For a long time, I'd go see the house again before they wrote the offer. But then the market got to the point where I didn't have time to go show the house. So then I'd go to the home inspection for part of it. And then Rebecca would come for the rest. And then I'd oversee the closing. My biggest goal at all times with my team was that they would remember me and no one else. Because afterwards, the problem with a lot of teams, they never grow organically because you've got John Smith, the team leader, and he's got 20 agents. And at the end of the day, those agents are selling 7 to 12 homes a year, lead dependent. They don't have the skills to create a relationship and an ongoing referral-based business with those people. So, and the minute the leads turn off, the team just implodes.
Man, that's so powerful, man. You're spot on there.
So I wanted to have with my team where they each have integral roles, but I'm the center of the wheel. More like a doctor's office. I don't do blood pressure. I don't check, whatever doctors do that, or excuse me, what their assistants do and they don't, then they come in. So I try to set it up. So I've got the showing agent, they show them homes. I jump in and handle the actual high touch stuff. So then in 2013, do you guys have like Great Wolf Lodge or Kalahari or anything like that near you?
I think we have
what I'm talking about. It's like an indoor water park.
Great Wolf Lodge, I think we have near us.
Yeah. So we've got Sandusky, right? Cedar Point is about 100 miles, 100 miles from us. Well, it's a disgusting, they'll never be able to open that up with coronavirus. It's a horrible place. So anyway, we used to take our kids there.
Yeah, but how do you feel?
We used to take our kids there for spring break. So with groups of friends. So we're there. I had a few beers in me, and Tina, her kids, she has triplets. Her kids go to school with my daughter at the same age. Someone said, "Oh, you should hire Tina." And I said, "No problem." I was lit. I said, "Great, I'll hire her." Well, I forgot about it. Monday, she emails me her resume and says, "When can I start?"
No way.
Swear to God.
Dude, that's should I say at this moment, classic real estate agent? Because isn't it at the conferences, all the real estate agents are just getting lit everywhere?
Dude, and the thing is, I'm 5'10" and 160 pounds. In the summer, I'm like 154. I run a lot. Man. I can only, if I drink 4 beers, I'm saying stuff that you don't want me to say. So I have my limits. But so anyway, I told Mary, my wife, I'm like, Tina thinks we're hiring her. She's like, great. I knew you were speaking out of turn. So anyway, I hired her and I paid her a salary. She had to leave her other job, so I had to pay her quite well. Well, then she got her license. So what she started doing for me in 2013, so I had the buyer end covered. Okay. Well, then I ended up, she got her license. If I go out and meet with you to sell your house, I'd have you sign the listing agreement. I would leave the disclosures with you, and then Tina would come over. She would take the photographs, measure, go over the disclosures with you, make sure they're okay, and the home information. Take it back to the office, put it in the MLS, make sure it's on all the other sites, and then keep in touch with them until they got an offer. So the only time I had to talk to that seller was when I met with them there, and then when an offer came in, I handled it from there. So she handled all the communication between listing and offer, and then I handled the offer and all the way through closing. And she sent in she'd check on the addendums and the ROC, or removal of contingency. She would send in the escrow letter, but all the high touch stuff on the listing side I did. So I was able to work 30 to 40 hours a week, and I had these two people. Well, then what happened was Rebecca came in with me full-time in 2017. And part of her package, I gave her a salary. So she showed homes for me during the day. Well, then she also had to sell 15 homes a year, and she got paid bonuses based on that. And then with Tina, same thing. She got her salary for doing her stuff during the day. And then she also had a goal, and she started selling $2 to $3 million. She had 5 million last year and worked with me full time.
Wow.
So both of my,
that was a great, like, kind of out of turn speak when you were lit. That turned into a great hire for you.
They're both great hires. Yeah, they're very, very good moves on my part. So they both generate revenue, and that's my 3-person team. So then 2018, I got Mark on board. So that's pretty much it. So we keep in touch with the past clients. We had about 15, 20 deals from Zillow last year, just from leads, but I'm trying to pull myself away from that because
But it seems to me like what you're hitting on really is this idea of like omnipresence. And like Josh and I are big on this now, it's like you have, at the same time of building relationships, you're building a massive brand. Meaning people are seeing you everywhere. You're boosting your upmarket updates. So they're seeing you, and it's really the activity puts in people's mind that you're productive. They see you as productive and they think, oh man, it's success. And then you have the social proof to back it up, all these reviews. So you've created this incredible brand built on the foundation of relationships. So it's really, that is literally, that's what Josh and I preach. It's like you need both going. You have to build your database, build by referral. It's all about relationships. But at the same time, you're building a brand to where the business just starts flowing to you because people see you everywhere. They know about you, and it's built on such a firm foundation. And so it's incredible, man. So I got to ask you, okay, so successful people tend to have routines, right, that they implement in their life.
Man.
Yeah. Are there any things that you implement besides drinking 4 Bud Lights and offering jobs?
I barely ever drink anymore. I've never been a heavy drinker. I could drink maybe 3 or 4 beers. I don't drink that much at all.
But what are some of the
all the best stories?
Yeah. What are the routines that you have done that have driven success for you in your life that you would maybe point people to?
The crazy part is, none of my friends think I work. My dad thinks I'm a bum. I work, because I've been doing this so freaking long, most people that have been in the business 30 years are like 80, So I'm 51 and this is my 33rd year. So, like last year we went to Florida for a month. This year we went 2 months. January and February, I was in Marco Island, Florida for 2 months.
It's amazing, man.
So although the videos are me, I'm working really hard. Like Mark, who works with me, he's 36. Tina and Rebecca are my age. But I'm just trying to make them success. I've created a situation where I don't think, knock on wood, where they don't want to leave. Like Tina and Rebecca have situations where they can't duplicate their job in the marketplace, right? And they know that. And I say that in a respectful way. If they didn't like me or didn't feel like I provided value, then they would leave. But they can't duplicate their job in the marketplace and get a salary job with benefits, paid vacation, have their commissions paid in bonuses through their W-2 paycheck. And I know that that's almost unheard of in residential real estate sales.
Yeah, man.
So I try to create a team where they wouldn't, and again, I'm invested in it every day. I talk to them every day. So I don't want to make it sound like just the money's the only thing or the terms of their deal is the only thing. But I didn't want to ever take it for granted. And I wanted to make sure that they had a situation that would be very hard for them to walk away from, right? So Tina, I can go to Florida now for 2 months. And fortunately with Zoom, we can do meetings. I sold 12 houses the 2 months I was down there, with dot loop and technology. My clients didn't even know I was there. you know, I just answer the phone. I could be in Tokyo. They don't know. Well, it's a different time zone there, but so routines wise, I mean, I don't get up early. I'll just throw it out there. All these other pros that you have on here get up at 4:45. I don't. I get up at about, well, Tuesdays and Thursdays, I run with a buddy of mine at 8:30. So I get up at 7:40. And the other 3 days in the week, I run early on the weekends. So I get up at about 7 on Saturday and Sunday because I run for 2 to 3 hours both days. But Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I get up about 8:30. But I run 40 to 50, sometimes 60 miles a week.
That's unreal, man.
I'm under normal circumstances, I'm part of 2 running groups that I have gotten a ton of business from. Long distance running groups, you would think they were a bunch of goofs, but in my Saturday morning running group, we have a dermatologist, the head of infectious disease for the Cleveland Clinic, 3 attorneys. One of them works for Jones Day, makes $2 million a year for Jones Day. 3 IT guys. These are hard charging A-type guys that run 50 and 100-mile races. They're not, I mean, they're very competitive usually, and they have good jobs. And I've sold most of them houses or sold houses for them.
What an incredible marketing tip there, just from the meetups, just being part of your network, whatever you're into, get a part of that. And those people need to live somewhere too.
Yeah. And they think, and I've got something in common with them.
Yeah,
right?
man.
So that, in terms of my routines, I work really hard to make sure that, I joked before, my number one goal is for my wife not to walk, you know, cause I'm in my 50s now, and you hear a bunch of guys get into their 50s, they get sloppy and they either cheat or their wife cheats or they fall out of love. So I'm hyper focused on making sure that doesn't happen. So that's one routine. I've got 2 grown kids that are in college. I really want to be good to them. I try to take care of my team. I call them all the time. But other than that, I mean, and I'm really focused on staying in touch with my past clients, but I do it in a really kind of sporadic way. It's not systematized. I just remember quarterly to stay in touch with my past clients. And I wanted to make sure through April that I touched every one of my past clients that I had a phone number for, either call or text them. I'm focused on that, but I don't have the kind of.
We say in every episode, there's no silver bullet, right? There's no magic path. I think the fact that
I was listening to a guy the other day. His name's Q Burdett. Have you guys heard of him?
No.
No.
Quentin, he's from Mississippi. 20. I don't want this to be about him. I want it to be about me. But anyway, this kid, he's 26. He sold 106 homes his first year.
Woo!
106 homes his first year, all from cold calling and door knocking. And then he set up this system where he gives himself so many points for selling a house, listings. I'm actually going to implement it with my people. And he has to get 4 points today. This guy's 26 years old.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, we're going to have him on the show, Will.
Oh, yeah. I heard him on on Josh Smith's podcast.
Yeah, man. I love Josh Smith. He's awesome.
So he sold 106 homes his first year. And I was like, and he's in his second year and he's already bought 5 houses. He wants to have 30 by the time he's 30. I'm like, I just want to give up. I mean, nothing I've done can come close to that.
I love that, man. I can tell how driven you are. It's just the raw authenticity, man. You're a beast, dude. Like I can just so authentic. I freaking love it, man. It's why you're killing it. You're just real and you're doing so many incredible things. And I love the fact that it's not a magic formula because that's the truth. That's what kills everybody. Everybody starts in this business and thinks there's some system out there that they're going to find that's going to suddenly make their business successful. And it doesn't work that way. It really comes down to the basics, which is, man, you got to care about people. You got to help people. You got to keep in touch with people. And there's a lot of ways to do that. You can send text message to people. You can phone call them. You can send them handwritten notes. You can do a lot of things to apply those basic principles. But everybody's out there looking for the magic formula, and it just doesn't exist, man.
The goal in our business long-term is to have as many people that know, like, and trust you and are trained to refer you. Because you can have people, you can know, like, and trust me, but the problem with most realtors, they don't tell people that they need referrals. And that's what Joe Stump said to me in 1997. They have to know, like, trust you, and then they have to know that you need the work, and then you have to thank them for the work. That's it. Know, like, trust. Know that you appreciate the work and you need it, because a lot of them, they don't know. I would never think to refer to my accountant. I think he's got too much work anyway, and he's never asked me for it.
Correct, man.
But I still, at my age, I still tell at the beginning of every relationship with a client, I let them know my goal. I say my dirty ulterior motive is I want a good review at the end, and I know that all that is the byproduct of an excellent relationship. All a review is it's a byproduct of an excellent relationship. And I tell people that our entire process is so that you are willing to give me a good review at the end. That's it. And I know that what I have to do in the middle so you have an excellent experience. I say the only way that you're going to give me a good review is if you feel, because if you're just apathetic or it was okay, they'll say they'll do it and won't. So you really have to step it up to have them give you a good review. That's the trick.
Step up, people. Come on.
Yes, this is hashtag step up. No, I love that, man.
Now, Will, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for being transparent with your company and how you've built it and everything, and just really the tenacity in growing this. Before we close, let people know how they can connect with you.
Well, they can email me at will@penneyrealestate.com, PENNEY realestate.com.
You're not going to plug your Instagram?
Instagram is at, what is it?
That's why you don't have enough followers, Will.
I know.
You don't know your handle.
It's Penney_real estate.
That's awesome. No, we really appreciate it. Dude, this was a lesson on how to grow and maintain a business, not just in real estate, with referrals and reviews. Absolutely amazing. Thanks again for being here. Thank you so much for listening. To dive deeper into this episode, get these resources that we mentioned, you can go to staypaidpodcast.com. And if you want to support the show, this is free. So the only thing that we ask for you to do is to rate us 5 stars on iTunes and leave a comment. Let us know what you thought of this episode. And the best way is to send us a referral. Tell a friend about this episode. Share on your social media. If you want to get a hold of me or Luke, you can email us at podcast@remindermedia.com or find us on Instagram. We are at Stay Paid Podcast. We also started a Facebook page. So we're Stay Paid Podcast on Facebook too. We want to get that thing to 10,000 followers. So head on over there and like that.
That's a lot.
For this episode of Stay Paid, I'm Joshua Stike.
Guys, and I'm Luke Acree, and here's the action item for you. Man, this podcast, wow, this was awesome. 250 homes, guys, last year. And what the action item I have for you is do that market update video. That is such a no-brainer right now, what everybody's going through, but catch on to go back and listen to the clip, being sensitive about what happened, what's going on right now. And hey, it's tough times, but then showing positivity that things are still happening. It's so simple. We'll take you 5 to 10 minutes, pull out your cell phone, shoot that video. If you want to take it to ninja level, put $50 behind it on Facebook. You guys can actually check out, we did a whole webinar on how to do Facebook ads at our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ReminderMedia. It will teach you in the ads manager how to boost a post. So you guys can go check that out to learn how to do it. But do that market update. It gets you in front of your clients. It shows your prospects in your community that you're active, and it builds that brand that ultimately will bring people to you. Remember, the difference between a top producer and a mediocre producer in every single industry we've worked in is top producers take action. So take action on that today.